Hi, I'm David. Thank you for spending the night with us. Tonight we go back more than 130 years to a night train crossing the Alps in the deep middle of winter, in the golden age of the sleeping car. Everything you will hear is drawn from real history, and the sources are listed below. There are no ads waiting to wake you, and nothing sudden ever happens here. So settle in, get warm, and let the past keep you company. Good night. Welcome, traveler. You can close your eyes now. There is nothing here you need to see with your eyes open, and nothing here that needs anything from you at all. Tonight, the only work being done is the work of resting, and even the resting will be carried for you, mile after gentle mile, by steel and steam and other people, all of them glad to do it. Tonight we are going back 130 years and a little more to a small stone station at the foot of the high Alps on an evening in deep January, where snow is falling straight down through the lamplight with no wind to trouble it, and a long dark train is coming up the valley to collect you. It is a night express of the great international company whose carriages carry beds, the wagons Litz, a French name that means exactly what it promises. Beds on wheels, moving gently through the mountains while their owners sleep. This is the golden age of that idea, when a bed that travels is still the newest comfort in the world. Nothing bad happens on this train tonight. Nothing surprising happens either. The train is on time, and it will stay on time, because it is that kind of train, on that kind of railway, in the hands of that kind of men. In your century, writers will love to fill trains like this one with intrigue and strangers with secrets. The trains themselves were never consulted. On an ordinary Tuesday in January, the boldest event of the whole night is dessert. The second boldest is a tunnel, and most of the passengers sleep through both. Tonight is one quiet night among thousands that history never bothered to write down, and that is exactly why we are going. You are expected. Your name went down the line days ago, copied in pencil into a neat column of names, and tonight that column rides in the breast pocket of a man in a brown uniform, walking the warm corridor of a sleeping car somewhere down the valley, making everything ready. He knows which window is yours and which way your bed faces. You have never met him, and he is expecting you the way winter expects snow. And on the way to sleep, you will find out where one of your everyday words was born, a small word you will use again the next time you go anywhere at all. I will not tell you which one yet. It has already been made up with clean linen, and it is waiting for you. 3 carriages back from the engine. If you drift off before we reach it, that is not an interruption. That is the story working. So, let us stand out on the platform while the last of the light turns blue. The station is small, and it is lit like a kindness. One low building of stone and timber, a carved wooden canopy over the platform, and under the canopy a row of lamps, just now being lit by a man with a long brass taper, who nods to you as he passes, as though lighting lamps in the falling snow were the most contented work in the world. This evening, it may be. The snow comes down in the windless way that means it intends to continue all night. Fat, unhurried flakes dropping through each cone of lamplight like something being poured. From inside the office comes the small, busy ticking of the telegraph, tapping out the evening's trains up and down the valley, and through the window you can see the station master at his desk in the yellow of his own lamp, his watch lying open on the blotter in front of him, because on this railway the watch is always open. At the far end of the platform stands a tall iron column with a leather-sleeved arm, the water crane, where engines stop to drink. In summer it stands plain. Tonight it wears a thick jacket of straw, wound round and round with cord like a man dressed by his grandmother, and at its foot a small coal brazier glows red in the dusk, keeping the water in its heart from freezing. Somebody feeds that little fire all winter long, so that any engine on any night will always find the water running. It is the first of many small fires you will meet tonight, all of them tended for the comfort of travelers who will never see them. Then the platform bell rings, 2 round unhurried strokes, and the tall signal out along the line lowers its arm with a distant clank, which is the railway's way of saying come. And before you see anything at all, the rails begin to speak, a faint, bright humming in the steel at the edge of the platform, the train announcing itself a full minute before it arrives. It comes around the shoulder of the mountain with its lamps haloed in falling snow, and a white feather of steam standing against the last gray of the sky, and it slides in along the platform with the enormous gentleness that only very large machines possess, brakes sighing, steam curling gold into the canopy. The engine passes you slowly, tall as a house and warm as a hearth, smelling of coal smoke and hot oil and winter, a small snow plow riding at its front like the bow of a ship, and it stops exactly where it means to. Behind it wait the carriages, long cars of varnished teak, dark and deep as a violin, with brass handles and gold lettering, and every curtained window glowing warm from inside. A door opens. A man in a neat brown uniform steps down with a folding stool in one hand, sets it beneath the door, straightens, and looks directly at you. He touches his cap. "Good evening," he says, and then he says your name. He has never seen you before in his life, but your name has been on the chart in his pocket since yesterday, and half his art is this: to stand on a snowy platform at dusk and make a stranger feel met. The other half of his art is quieter, and you will be feeling it all night long. "Your berth is ready," he says. "Second window. Your bed is already warming." He hands you up the step. The handrail is the last cold thing you will touch tonight. The corridor runs down one side of the car, narrow and paneled and carpeted in deep blue, with a brass rail beneath the windows, polished to a soft shine by years of gloved hands. The air in here is warm in the way that surprises you after snow, and it smells faintly and pleasantly of beeswax polish, coal smoke, and dinner being contemplated somewhere ahead. The conductor slides open a door of figured mahogany, and there is your room. It is small, and it is right. The walls are honey-colored marquetry, a spray of inlaid flowers blooming on the panel above the seat, and every joint and corner is rounded, fitted, and latched, because this room was built by people who spent their whole lives thinking about motion. Nothing in it will slide, swing, rattle, or escape. There is a deep seat of soft wool plush, kept tonight for you alone, a netted rack above the window for your small things, a folding table, and overhead a lamp burning behind ground glass, filling the little room with the color of late afternoon. Then the conductor shows you the compartment's one theater trick, because everyone must be shown, and everyone is delighted. Set into the corner is a cabinet of the same mahogany, and he opens its doors and folds down its front, and inside is a washstand, a basin of white porcelain, a mirror, a cake of soap, towels on a bar, a carafe of water sitting in a ring that will not let it wander. When you are finished, he says, you tip the basin gently forward, so, and it empties itself into a tank below, and the whole apparatus folds up and becomes furniture again, closing with a click as soft as a book being shut. Under the seat runs a pipe, and the pipe is warm, and the warmth is the engine's own, led back through the whole train, carriage by carriage, so that the heart that moves you is also the heart that warms you. There is a small brass handle for asking it to do more or less. The window is 2 panes of glass with a sleeve of still air sealed between them. The railway's quiet answer to January. The snow lands soundlessly on the outer pane and stays there, and the cold leans against the far side of it all night and is never once let in. Dinner is at 7, in the car ahead. The conductor says, "While you dine, I will make your bed," and he is gone, his footsteps fading down the carpet toward the next name on his chart. Out on the platform, the last doors are closed, the way doors are closed by men who close 1,000 a week. Firmly, kindly, one after another down the train. The station master lifts his lamp. The engine answers with one long note of its whistle, softened and rounded by the snow until it is less a whistle than a horn heard across a valley. And then, with no jolt at all, only a long, slow taking up of weight, the train begins to move. You feel the couplings gather themselves one by one down the train, a little ripple of intention passing beneath your feet. The lamps of the platform slide backward past the window, slow as lanterns carried by walkers, then faster. The station goes. The last houses of the town go, each window a small yellow proof that everyone is home tonight. And then there is only the valley, wide and white and blue in the dusk, turning slowly past the glass. And under you, the rhythm begins. It starts shyly, a click here and a click there, and then the clicks find one another and settle into a beat. And the beat is the sound this whole night will be made of. 2 soft beats and a breath. 2 soft beats and a breath. The rails beneath you were laid in lengths, each about 10 paces long, and where each length meets the next, there is the smallest of seams, and every wheel greets every seam as it crosses. The train is reading the railway out loud, seam by seam, in a low voice, and it will go on reading all night, like someone reading in the next room. The snow streams past the window, each flake lit for one instant as it crosses the light of your lamp. Beyond it, the valley goes about its evening. A farmhouse with one lit window, under a roof loaded white, a frozen stream that keeps pace beside the line a while and then wanders off about its own business. Far ahead, now and then, the engine's whistle floats back over the carriages, one round soft note, the train talking quietly to the valley as it goes. Then, along the corridor, comes a sound too gentle to be called an announcement. A waiter in a white jacket is walking the train with a small gong, 3 soft notes at each door, dinner going down the cars at a walking pace. You rise and follow him, learning as you go the old trick of the swaying corridor, one hand for yourself, one hand for the ship. Between your carriage and the next, there is a short bridge of iron plates, inside a bellows of leather and canvas, and crossing it is the whole journey in miniature. 2 steps of cold air and rolling thunder between one door and the next, and then warmth and lamplight again on the far side, as if winter were only a corridor between 2 rooms. The dining car is laid down its whole length with small tables, white linen, and heavy silver. A little lamp, with a warm shade burning on every table, and the window shining black, holding the reflection of it all, like a second dining car running alongside through the snow. The whole room sways gently, and everything in it sways together, and the wine in the glasses tilts and keeps its level, a small patient sea in every glass. You are given a table by the window, and the menu is written in French, because whatever country the windows are showing, the dining cars of Europe speak French. There is one dinner tonight, served to everyone, course by course. A clear consommé, golden and hot, the perfect first thing on a snowy night. A trout in brown butter that was swimming in cold mountain water this morning. A roast with winter vegetables and a sauce the chef would defend with his life. Then mountain cheese, then a sweet, then coffee, and a half bottle of wine from the warm side of the very mountains you will cross tonight. And all of it comes from a kitchen the size of a large wardrobe at the end of the car, where the chef and his men cook on a coal-fired iron range in a wooden carriage at 40 miles an hour, plating soup against the sway with their feet set wide, twice a day, every day, and consider it ordinary. The waiter pours your coffee in a thin silver arc without one drop going astray, and accepts your admiration as no more than his due. Outside, while you wait, the line has been climbing. Cup your hands to the glass, and you can see that the villages are below you now, far below, little constellations of lamplit windows strung along the black thread of a road, sliding slowly past and away. Every one of those lights is a kitchen or a parlor where the evening is happening at walking pace. A soup pot, a grandmother, a dog too close to the stove. It is worth saying plainly, somewhere between the cheese and the sweet, that this is not how most of the world travels tonight. A bed on this train costs more than many families in those villages see in a month, and the day trains that serve them run hard benches and are glad of them. But the same line carries their milk cans and their letters and their sons home from the cities, and the mountain does its quiet work for all of them alike. Tonight you happen to be riding in its silk pocket. It is honest to notice that, and allowed to enjoy it. Soon after coffee, the train slows and eases into a small station, bright with lamps, and stops. And this stop is for the train, not for you. The steep miles begin here, and in winter the railway sends no express up them alone. Out of the dark ahead, showing its own lamps, a second engine comes backing quietly down onto the train and couples on ahead of the first, a clink and a firm thud that arrives through the floor, like a handshake, passed down the whole length of the carriages. When you set out again, there are two engines, breathing in turn ahead of you, their exhausts falling into step and out again, a soft, patient syncopation, and the beat of the rails slows to the pace of work. The train leans into the mountain and begins to earn its altitude. You stand a while at the corridor window with the last of your coffee and watch the line do the impossible, politely. The mountainside is too steep to climb straight, so the engineers taught the railway to climb in circles. The line runs into the mountain, turns a full slow circle inside the living rock, and comes out above itself, higher up the wall of the valley. You pass a little village with a white church, a cluster of lit windows around a dark spire. Some minutes later you pass it again, the same church, now well below you, and then a third time, far down, small enough to cover with your thumb, on its way to becoming a memory. Travelers on this line write home about that church. Guidebooks tell you to watch for it. The valley people themselves hardly look up, because for them the miracle goes past on schedule, several times a day. Here and there, the line runs beneath long timber roofs built out from the mountainside. These are the snow galleries, set exactly where the slopes like to shed their loads, so that whatever the mountain lets go of passes harmlessly overhead and on down into the gorge. Nothing is sliding tonight. The galleries are simply there, the engineer's patient umbrella, and as you pass through each one, the sound of the train gathers close under the timber, a soft wooden hush, and then opens out again into the wide, snowy dark. Between them, tall poles stand along the cuttings, planted so that after the deepest snowfall, the men with shovels know exactly where their railway is sleeping. Nobody who planted those poles knows your name. They were planted for you anyway. The conductor passes behind you and pauses. Your bed is made, he says. Whenever you're ready. There is no hurry. On this train, there is never any hurry. The hurrying has been delegated. Your compartment, while you dined, has quietly become a bedroom. The deep seat has unfolded and become a bed, laid with crisp white linen, the sheets turned down in a neat diagonal, and over them, heavy wool blankets with the company's initials woven in, tucked square by a man who has made 40,000 beds and still cares about this one. The upper berth stays folded flat against the wall tonight. The little room is yours alone. And down at the foot of the bed, under the blankets, a stoneware bottle of hot water has been waiting for you since the last station, which is what he meant hours ago in the snow when he said your bed was already warming. You set your boots outside the door because the conductor asked you to, and somewhere in the small hours he will sit at the end of the corridor with brushes and blacking and polish them to a shine, one pair after another down the car, holding the quiet professional opinion that no guest of his steps down onto any platform in Europe in dull boots. You fold down the washstand and perform the trick alone for the first time, and it works, and you feel unreasonably accomplished. Then you change for bed swaying gently, one hand for yourself, one for the ship. Then the lamp. There's a small key beneath it, and you turn it slowly, and the flame comes down and down until it settles into a single bead of gold behind the glass, a nightlight now, and the little room sinks into amber and shadow. The marquetry flowers dim on the wall. The brass keeps the last of the light. You get in. The bed is narrow, the way a berth should be narrow, holding you rather than merely containing you. And the blankets are heavy in the good way, the way that means the day is over and gravity is on your side. Your feet find the stoneware bottle, and now that the room is dark and still, you can hear it, the sound you will fall asleep to. Dry snow, ticking softly at the glass, flake after flake, the gentlest possible weather report, saying only, still falling, all is well. And beneath you, all the while, the beat, lying down in the dark, is when the train finally teaches you its language. Listen. 2 beats, close together, then a breath, then 2 more. Here's why. Your carriage rides on 2 little 4-wheeled trucks, the bogies, one under each end, and the rails below are laid in lengths about 10 paces long. Where length meets length, there is a seam. When the front bogie crosses a seam, it speaks twice, once for each axle, quick as a heartbeat. Then the seam waits beneath the length of the car until the rear bogie finds it and answers twice. Every length of rail all night asks the same small question and is answered every time, and that call and answer, thousands of times over, is the whole song. And tonight the song is crisper than it will be in June, and there is a reason for that too. Steel, like everyone else, draws itself in a little when it is cold. In January, every rail on this mountain is a hair shorter than it was in August. so every seam stands a hair wider, and the wheels strike each one a little more squarely. Winter sharpens the train's consonants, and old railwaymen, standing in a dark field, can hear the season go by in the sound of a passing train. Sometimes the beat deepens, and the ground falls out from underneath the sound, hollow for a second, 2, 3, as though the train had spoken in a much larger room. That is a bridge, and the larger room is a gorge, with the river asleep under its ice far below, and then the mountain comes back and holds the sound close again, and under it all, the sway, the car leaning a breath to one side and returning over and over, never still and never sudden, the motion of a thing being carried carefully. And now the word I promised you, because you are lying inside it. A bed on a ship, and now on a train, is called a berth, and it is a sailor's word, an old one, from the days of sail. At sea it first meant room, sea room, the safe margin a ship keeps between herself and the rocks, and you still say it that way when you give trouble a wide berth. Then the word came aboard and settled, and became the sleeping place itself, the small allotted space that is yours and no one else's on a moving thing. And when the railways began to carry beds through the night, they reached for the sailor's word, because sailors were the only people on earth who had ever slept properly aboard anything. And the word came ashore with its blankets and its meaning intact. Safe room, your own place, everything else kept at a distance. So you are lying in a little piece of the sea tonight, high in a mountain winter, and the word has kept its promise perfectly. Nothing comes near you. The night has been given a wide berth to go by in, and it is going by. Sometime around midnight, the beat slows by degrees, and lamps begin to slide into the edges of the window, and the train draws breath and stops. You lift the corner of the blind from where you lie, one cheek still on the pillow, and look out at the summit of the night. It is a small station high in the snow, the last one before the great tunnel, lit like a row of held candles. The snow banked higher than the station house windows, paths cut through it as clean as bread. Men cross the platform with lanterns swinging low, and nobody runs. Nothing here requires running. The mountain settles a station like this into stillness, and the men who work it move at the pace of lamplight. Up ahead, the engines have drawn level with the water crane, which wears its straw winter coat here too, and the leather arm swings out, and water pours and pours, softly thunderous, an engine drinking its fill for the run under the mountains. The mountain engine that came to help at dusk lets go with a single soft clank and walks away to its shed, patient as a horse stabled for the night. And the engine that remains stands there breathing. You can hear it plainly through the glass, a deep, slow, doubled pulse, thump and sigh, thump and sigh, the air pump keeping the brakes fed while the train rests. It sounds like something enormous, sleeping standing up, which is very close to what it is. Those brakes are the kindest machinery on the train. It is air that holds them off. If ever a hose parted or a coupling failed, the air would escape, and every wheel would simply, gently, be brought to a stop. The men who built this railway arranged matters so that even its accidents would end in stillness. You could not fall out of this night if you tried. Now, along the platform, comes a man with a lantern and a long-handled hammer, and he stoops at each wheel of the train and strikes it once, lightly, like a bell, and each wheel answers like a bell, a clear, bright ring, wheel after wheel, down the whole train, because that is the entire test. A sound wheel rings true. A flawed one answers dull and is taken quietly out of service, long before it could ever trouble anyone. He is playing the train, one slow note at a time, from the engine to the last carriage, and tonight, like almost every night of his working life, the train is in perfect tune. And at the end of the platform stands a wooden tower with one lit window, and in it, among a row of tall polished levers and a wall of brass bells, a man keeps the night watch beside a small iron stove. The line through these mountains is divided into sections, and no train may enter a section until the man at the far end of it has rung back, bell to bell, that it stands empty. All night long, box to box, your train is handed through the dark, from one pair of steady hands to the next, like a lantern passed along a line of men. You have met this man before, if you have traveled with us before. He has been a watchman, with a swaying lantern in a rainy Roman street, and a monk carrying a small flame down a stone corridor, and a keeper winding his clockwork above a winter sea. Tonight he wears a railway cap, and his fire is a stove in a wooden tower in the snow, and his work is the oldest work there is, to stay awake on purpose so that everyone else may sleep. The whistle says one soft word up ahead. The platform lamps begin to slide. The station folds itself back into the snow, and the beat gathers under you again, unhurried, resuming the song exactly where it left off. A few minutes later, the sound changes. It happens in a single breath. The beat is suddenly close and full and warm, wrapped around the train on every side, as though the world had cupped its hands around you. The snow stops ticking at the glass because there is no sky. You are inside the mountain. This tunnel runs for 9 miles and a little more, straight through the root of the Alps, and when it opened, a dozen years and a little more before tonight, it was the longest tunnel on Earth. It still is. Men bored it from both ends at once, from opposite sides of the mountains, working toward each other for years, through the dark, with the summit standing a mile of solid stone above their heads. And when the two headings finally met, deep under the middle of the range, the air between them, after all those miles, could be covered with 2 spread hands. Tonight, it is simply the warm dark you are riding through, on your way to the morning side of the mountains. And it is warm, which is the strangest kindness of this place. The deep rock knows nothing of January. Far under the peaks, the mountain keeps its own even climate the year round, and on the coldest nights of winter, the warmest place between the 2 valleys is the inside of the mountain itself. The heating pipe under your bed has the easiest hour of its night here, in the very place you might have expected the deepest cold. High over your head, buried under the snow, the old road over the pass lies asleep, hairpin above hairpin. Crossing it once cost a long, hard day, and in deep winter the coaches gave way to sledges, and the mail went over the top behind horses wearing bells. That world lasted for centuries, right up until the year this tunnel opened, within living memory tonight. You will cross beneath it all in under half an hour, lying down with your feet on a warm stone bottle. And somewhere in the middle of the dark, without the smallest bump or sign, you pass the highest point of the whole line, unmarked and unfelt, and once it is behind you, the train begins, so gently that only the engine's own gauges know it, to go downhill. The rest of tonight is downhill. Even the geography is on the side of your rest now. Then the sound opens like a door, and the world comes back, and it is a different world. A new valley, wide and pale. On this side of the mountains, the The clouds have been swept away, and stars stand sharp over the white ridges, and the snowfields hold their light the way embers hold heat, giving the whole valley a soft gray shine with no lamp anywhere in it. The beat spreads out and brightens, running easy now, downhill among the stars. In the corridor, a few feet from where you lie, the conductor sits on his folding seat at the end of the car, his lamp turned low, your boot standing done beside him, the column of names in his pocket all asleep at last. Somewhere in the small hours, the train will pause at a frontier, and men in another uniform will walk the platform stamping their feet, and he will meet them at the door with his leather wallet and speak for the whole sleeping car in a voice pitched not to wake it, and the train will move on, and you will not even dream it. Tomorrow, early, this train will come down out of the last of the mountains into the fog of a soft southern plain, and the waiter will walk the corridor with his gong muffled to a murmur, and there will be coffee and warm rolls and a lake the color of morning lying alongside the line. But that is tomorrow, and tomorrow is not your concern, and it is not here yet, and it keeps. The dining car is dark now, its range banked low, the silver asleep in felt-lined drawers, the kitchen that fed 100 people at 40 miles an hour, cold and swept and ready. Down the line ahead of you, all the way to the plane, the signal boxes are lit, a string of small yellow windows hung through the dark, each with its stove and its bells and its steady pair of hands, passing your train along from one to the next, ringing it through the night. Up ahead in the cab, 2 men stand in the warm orange breath of the firebox, watching the line come at them out of the starlight. And at some station you will never remember, 2 others will take their place, because on this railway, even the watchmen are watched over, and everyone gets their turn to rest. Everyone, tonight, but the train itself, and the train does not mind. Now and then a flurry of dry snow blows down off the high ridges and ticks against the glass, a handful at a time, and stops, and the stars go on. The little bead of flame keeps its watch above you. Your boots are done. Your name is in a warm pocket 20 feet away, checked and checked again. There is nothing in this night, from one end of the train to the other, that needs you. And beneath you, on and on, the beat. 2 soft beats and a breath. 2 soft beats and a breath. You do not have to listen to it. It does not need attending. It is only the sound of the miles going by on your behalf, of distance being quietly subtracted while you lie still. Somewhere far ahead, the whistle says, it's one soft word to a sleeping valley, and the valley does not wake, and neither should you. The car sways the way branches sway, within safe limits, over and over, and being rocked is the first comfort you ever knew, older in you than words, older than your own name. Before tonight, this motion belonged to ships, and before ships, to the arms that carried you. The train is young, as the world counts things, but the trick it is doing is the oldest trick there is. It has simply learned to do it with teak and steel and steam over a whole mountain range at a time for as long as you need it to. Let the last of the day go now. It was a good day. It carried you up into the mountains and under them and out the other side, and it asked nothing of you but your name, and even that it already knew. The line is clear all the way down. The train will keep till morning. The morning will keep till you wake. Sleep now, traveler. Good night. History will keep till morning.